Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Sue, and today we're going to make gyros. G-Y-R-O-S. Not gyros, gyros. This is a famous Greek sandwich made with minced meat that has lots of garlic and onion and flavorings in it. It's grilled and then you serve it warm with the pita bread and the famous Tzatziki, a yogurt dill dressing. It's wonderful. It's served at Greek restaurants. It's served at Greek festivals, and now you can make it at home yourself. So let's get started. Before we go any further, I want to remind you that this recipe and all the other recipes that we've used on this show can be found on our website, Tweeton.com. Be sure to look us up. Not only will you find the recipes that we use, but you'll find interesting links to other Greek sites where you can learn more about Greek culture and even explore some other Greek recipes. The first thing you need to do if you're planning on making gyros for a lunch or for dinner is get the tzatziki ready. That's the yogurt sauce because it needs to chill and the flavors need to blend. So here we go. To make tzatziki, you're going to need 2 cups of plain unsweetened yogurt, 2 regular cucumbers, or you can use an English cucumber, which is my favorite. You will also need at least 4 cloves of garlic. Now, if your family really doesn't care for a lot of garlic, I suppose you could cut it down to just 2 cloves, but 4 cloves makes it much tastier, much nicer to eat. Along with those ingredients, you need some good extra virgin olive oil. You'll need either lemon juice or wine vinegar, whatever you desire. And for flavoring, you need dill wheat. You need to measure out 2 cups of plain unsweetened yogurt. Try to get a good quality yogurt, one that does not have a lot of thickening additives. This particular yogurt just has milk, pectin, and active cultures. Tzatziki is a classic Greek sauce that can be used especially with gyros, but it can also be used with keftedes, which are Greek meatballs. It can be used with fried fish, just about anything. You could use it like a tartar sauce. All right, now here's 2 cups of yogurt. Now I can use this just as it is. And if I were in a hurry, this is what I do. I just start with the yogurt that I measured out. But if I want to have a thicker sauce without the water or the whey that separates, what you can do is line a colander with 2 or 3 layers of cheesecloth. Place the yogurt into the lined colander. And of course, be sure that you have a bowl underneath the colander. And you can just let the yogurt, put it back in the refrigerator. Now, if you leave this in the cheesecloth, in the colander, in your refrigerator for 2 to 4 hours, the excess moisture will leave the yogurt and it will become quite thick. And then you will have a thick tzatziki. You'll have a very thick sauce and it won't be watery. Now, this is something that you can do, say, early in the day and then finish up this tzatziki a few hours before it's time for you to serve the gyros, if you have the time. If you don't have the time, you can just start with the 2 cups of yogurt and you really don't have to go through this step. Now, as I said before, you can use 2 plain regular cucumbers or you could use 1 long English cucumber. And I prefer the English cucumbers because, number 1, I don't have to peel them, and number 2, I've never found them to be bitter. With the regular cucumbers, you're going to need to peel them because oftentimes the peel is very bitter. So with the English cucumber, all I do is just cut off the ends and then cut it into manageable chunks. Now, cut this. This is exactly what you do with a regular cucumber too. Cut it down the center. And you see the seed section here. This section you do not want in the tzatziki sauce because it's so watery. So what I like to do is to scoop out the seeds, but I scoop them out using a grapefruit spoon. And I like the grapefruit spoon because it's serrated right here and it makes it an easier job. Or you can just use a regular spoon. And then just start scooping out the seeds. Now you don't have to worry about being fastidious. If there's a little bit of seeds left, that's okay. But you've gotten most of it out. I think you can see now, this is solid cucumber meat now. And so it'll be a lot less watery than if you had left in the seeds, the pulpy seed part. Okay, I have my cucumbers all perfectly cleaned out, no seeds, just the meat of the cucumber. The next thing is to grate the cucumbers. Now you could chop them very, very finely, but I like grating them. Now you can grate them on a hand grater like this, or grate them in your food processor. Now one of the reasons why I do like using an English cucumber is unlike the other cucumbers where you have to peel them, with the English cucumber you can see you still get the flecks of dark green. And that makes for a nice sauce. It looks pretty. It's not all white. It has these nice flecks of the dark green peel. Making tzatziki is sort of like doing your laundry. You've got the yogurt drip drying, and now we're going to squeeze dry the cucumbers. Take a tea towel, a nice clean tea towel, and put the cucumbers in the towel. Wrap it up like so and begin squeezing. And squeeze out as much moisture as you can. I think you can see it. Just keep squeezing until either the moisture stops coming out or you just get tired. You don't have to overdo it, but what this does, along with drip drying the yogurt, is it makes sure that the sauce does not become overly watery. In fact, one of these tea towels would work just fine for drip drying the yogurt too. These are great, and they can be washed right after you use them, and you just keep reusing them over and over again. They're your special cooking towels that you use for draining and things like that. Okay, I've pretty much exhausted my strength here. Now, if you were a health nut, I'd recommend you drink the cucumber juice or save it to put it in soup or whatever. But here we have our drained cucumber, and I'm going to start assembling things in the bowl. Now, I obviously have not let this yogurt sit for 2 hours or 4 hours. It's just been sitting as long as it's taken me to do the cucumbers. But I'd like you to see just how much liquid came out of it in just this short time. So you can see yogurt will release quite a bit of moisture, quite a bit of liquid, if you just let it sit for any length of time. And if you don't have cheesecloth, you know, as I said before, these tea towels would work just as fine. All right, now here goes the yogurt, slightly thickened, into the bowl. And I think you can see it has thickened a bit because it's lost some of that moisture. Also into the bowl are grated and squeezed dried cucumber. Now, this is nice, yogurt and cucumber, nice, fresh, sharp, clean taste. But it's nothing without garlic. So get prepared. 4 cloves of garlic. That's what makes it tasty. Now, I have 4 very large cloves of garlic. As I said before, you could use smaller cloves of garlic, or you could go down to 2 cloves if you wanted to. But the more garlic, the better for me. I'm just pounding the cloves a little bit to loosen the skins so it'll peel a little easier. Now for this sauce, I don't want to mince. I don't want to chop the garlic. I want to put it through a garlic press because I want it as fine as possible. I'm on my last garlic clove, and I just want to make sure I remove this hard top part that would attach it to the clove, or to attach it to the head. Okay, now I'm ready to press. There are all kinds of different garlic presses on the market. Just find one that you like and use it. The reason I'm using it, as I said before, is that I want the garlic pressed. I want it very, very tiny, almost pulverized texture. I don't want little chunks of garlic in the sauce. So all you do is you put your garlic, whole garlic clove in, and then you do what the name implies. You press. And then scrape off the pressed mixture, the pressed garlic, into your bowl. And you can see how finely that is crushed. It's perfect for a sauce like this where you don't want to run into garlic chunks or garlic pieces. Okay, I'm on my last clove of garlic. All you do is you just keep adding the garlic to the garlic press. Keep pressing. And these were large cloves, so sometimes parts of the garlic kind of come out from other ends. Just keep squishing everything back into the main pressing section and keep pressing till you can press no more. And then take everything that's left inside the main pressing section and just dump it in. The reason I'm chuckling, between the 4 cloves of garlic in the tzatziki sauce and the 3 to 6 cloves of garlic in the gyros, when you're done eating a gyro sandwich, you'll be quite fragrant. In fact, I have a friend whose husband isn't really all that appreciative of when we go out to the Greek restaurant, because we always order gyro sandwiches for lunch. And as I just said, we're both quite fragrant when it's all over. And she goes home and she exudes that wonderful aroma of garlic all evening long. But it's worth it because it tastes so good. Okay, to this wonderful yogurt, cucumber, garlic mixture, you want to add about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And that's one of the reasons why we're so careful about draining the yogurt, squeezing dry the cucumbers, because there is going to be liquid from the olive oil. And you really have to have the olive oil to have a good flavor. So about 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 1 tablespoon of either lemon juice or wine vinegar. Since I'm going to be using a little bit of lemon juice in the gyro meat mixture, I'm going to go ahead and juice the lemon and use that in my tzatziki sauce. Just going to juice half a lemon right now because I only need a tablespoon. Then just remove the seeds. And I'm going to pour in just about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And to this, I want to add 1 teaspoon of dill weed, dried dill weed. Okay. And the only thing left now is just to mix this thoroughly. Add a little bit of salt too, I forgot that. Actually, salt to taste, maybe half a teaspoon to start with. But just mix this all up. Remember, you've got all that crushed garlic, so you need to make sure you mix it well, incorporate that garlic in there. And there you have it. This needs to cool or refrigerate for at least a half hour. A little longer would be just fine. This way the flavors all blend together. And it is quite thick now because of the steps that you took to drain the yogurt and to squeeze dry the cucumbers. And this is perfect. This is what you want. So I'm just going to cover this with a piece of plastic wrap and stick it in the fridge while I go on to make the gyro meat mixture. Now we come to the actual meat mixture, the gyro mixture. This will give you something that tastes very close to the gyros you'll find at Greek festivals and at Greek restaurants. The texture will be slightly different, but the taste will be very similar. Gyros originally were pork cooked on a vertical skewer, and the people would just slice thin slices off and slap it into a pita bread with the tzatziki and tomatoes and onions. Then it evolved to a ground meat mixture that was cooked on the skewer, and the thin slices were sliced off. And what we're doing today is not that, but it's something that's very similar and very close to it. For the meat, you need 2 pounds of meat, lean ground meat, any combination. Today I'm using a pound of ground turkey with a pound of ground beef. The thing is, you really want to try and find the leanest cuts possible. So you need 2 pounds of ground meat, whatever kind you desire. You'll need 2 tablespoons of very, very finely chopped onion. You'll need 3 to 6 cloves of crushed pressed garlic. And you'll need a tablespoon of lemon juice. For flavorings, for seasonings, you'll need 2 teaspoons of oregano and at least 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper. Now let's get started with the meat mixture. I find it just as easy to try and chop it finely. So just add your finely chopped onions to the meat mixture. A little bit more or less isn't going to hurt anything, but try to come up with close to 2 tablespoons. Now the garlic. 3 to 6 cloves of crushed garlic. So you should put them through your press, just as we did for the tzatziki. I'm on my last garlic, squishing it in. To this mixture, you want to add 2 teaspoons of oregano. Add a teaspoon of salt. Teaspoon of pepper. And 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm just using the lemon juice that was left over from when I made the tzatziki. So a tablespoon of lemon juice. And now it's time to mix it. Yes, you can use a spoon. Or you can just dig in with your hands, just like you're making a meatloaf, and mix it. The thing is, you need to mix it well because you want to make sure that you incorporate all that crushed garlic and all the minced onions. And you can see what the meat mixture looks like now. Everything's nicely incorporated. What I would do now is cover this with saran wrap and put it in the refrigerator. Let it sit for at least a half hour, and in that way the garlic, the onion, the oregano, the lemon flavor will go throughout all the meat mixture, and every bite will be perfectly flavored. So that's what I'm going to do as soon as I wash my hands and get myself cleaned up. All right, my meat has been cooling in the refrigerator, blending all the flavors together for about a half hour, and I'm ready to start forming the patties. This quantity, 2 pounds of meat, will make approximately 8 patties. Okay, I have 8 equal portions, pretty much, and I'm going to work with make 2 patties right now. I want to have a hot skillet, and I'm spraying it with an olive oil spray. I'm going to get it hot while I am shaping the patties. The Gyro patties should be slightly oval shaped and very, very thin. To help me shape them, I'm going to spray the bottom of this little cutting board with some of the olive oil spray so that they won't stick too much. I'm trying to keep an oval shape, but I'm also trying to make them thin. But if you dealt with cooking ground beef, you know that as thin as it might be here, as soon as you put it in the hot pan, it starts to thicken up. All right, that's one. Okay, these 2 are ready. And now I'm just waiting for my frying pan to heat up. My pan is hot now, and I'm ready to fry the patties. Now the reason I grease the little cutting board is it will help me lift the patty off since they're large and they're thin. Just lift it off as best you can and drop it into the hot pan. They should fry rather quickly because they're so thin. Now remember, these are cooking on very high heat. After a few minutes on one side, just flip them over. They should be lightly browned. And let them continue cooking on the other side. Okay, these patties are done. So I'm just going to remove them to a plate and continue shaping and frying the rest of the meat mixture. To serve the gyros, you can use pita bread, which you can find at any grocery store. And it's also called pocket bread because when you open it up, it forms a little pocket. And so you can stuff the meat inside here with the different fillings. Or if you're lucky enough to find Middle Eastern flatbread, that's preferable. One place I found this flatbread is at Trader Joe's, and I like to buy it, and I like to buy 2, maybe even 3 packages at a time and freeze them and keep them because they're so wonderful with hummus, if you make homemade hummus, with the gyros, with tzatziki as just a dip. Anyhow, you need to heat this. If you're using the flatbread, you need to heat it. All you need is an ungreased frying pan or griddle, and just put it on the heat for a few minutes until it's warm on one side, and then flip it over. Oh, this is warm, so I'm just going to flip it over. It's warm all the way through, so I'm going to put it on the plate, bring it over here to assemble. Take one of your patties, Put it at 1/2, one side of the flatbread. Top it with a couple nice goops of the tzatziki sauce. Few slices of very thinly sliced tomato. Obviously, you can't have it too thick or you won't be able to put your mouth around the sandwich. Some very thinly sliced onion. If you want to, you can even sprinkle a little bit of feta cheese on it. And if you happen to have some fresh parsley, maybe even some sprinkles of fresh parsley. Now, fold it up like so, and you have a delicious homemade Gyro sandwich. Smells so good. The delicious flavors from the tzatziki and the delicious flavors from the meat. Homemade Gyros, a delicious, delicious treat.